Hello, let's talk about all the books I've given 5 stars in the first 3 months of the year. So to start, we have Blood Over Brighthaven by Emma Wang. This is a fantasy story that is talking a lot about power and privilege and the way that we use that power and privilege. We're following Sayona, who is the first female mage, as she starts to discover more about the ways in which the people that have been in power are abusing that power. I thought it was very good. Obviously, I gave it 5 stars. Then we have The Will of the Many by James Islington, another fantasy that is about a young man who's infiltrating a magic school where there are different trials, and to get to the end he will have to do a trial in the woods that is very Hunger Games-esque. I found this very fun and very classic fantasy in the best way. Then we have a historical book, and that is The Lion Women of Tyrron. This is a story about 2 women in 1950s Tyrron as they are growing up, and it's about their friendship but also the way women are treated in this area of the world at this time. And it was a very beautiful story about friendship and love and growing up and learning more about the world. Another literary historical, this is The Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters. It's about a family who loses a child to kidnapping, and it is about their story and the grief of that loss. And we follow 2 different perspectives. Joe, who is one of the boys who lost his sister, and then another woman named Norma, who is grappling with a different kind of family, and we see how their stories weave together. Then we have a nonfiction, A Little Devil in America by Hanif Abdurraqib. This is about Black performance. It is part nonfiction but also weaving in Hanif Abdurraqib's real life, so it feels part memoir as well. I really enjoy the way he weaves together these narratives to create such a beautiful history and ode to Black performance. Then we have Jackal by Erin E. Adams. This is a thriller horror that is about a woman who comes back to her rural hometown as one of the only Black women in town, and her best friend's child has gone missing, and she starts to understand that there are a lot of Black girls that have gone missing in this town, and she's determined to figure out what happens to them. It is thriller but it also has horror elements, and I really liked the way the horror elements wove into the story. And then I have Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. This is a historical fantasy romance, and we deal with a young woman who has powers that she's not supposed to have. One day she's found out, and then she's forced to marry someone that the emperor wants her to marry. From there is a lot of trials that her and her husband have to figure out together. It's a very heartbreaking story, but it's filled with a lot of hope and love. Finally, we have James by Percival Everett. This is a retelling of Huckleberry Finn, but from the perspective of James, who was an enslaved man. We really get to hear James's story and get his agency back, and it also is a very good look at the difference between Huckleberry Finn, which is kind of a adventure story, where this is definitely a story of survival. It's a very powerful story. I really like Percival Everett's writing. I would highly recommend if you read Huckleberry Finn as a child, and if you haven't, I would still recommend. They're all the books I gave 5 stars in the first quarter. Here's to hoping we get a bunch more 5 stars in the second quarter.